to this very special episode of Lotus Chats, and I would like to welcome all of our new viewers today. Thank you all for joining in, and I would like to welcome all of our repeat viewers as well. Thank you for following us throughout all the last episodes. We really appreciate the support and your love. So on this episode 11 of Lotus Chat, the special topic we are discussing is maximizing the value of life. That is that is a lot of words and a very big topic that we are all excited to discuss with you today. So we are going to start off with a very important question, which is, what does it mean when we say maximizing the value of life? What are we trying to convey? What things come up not only for us, but for you as a viewer? So we're going to go through all that today, as well as discuss like the steps and things that you can take to assist you in your journey on maximizing your life and living to your fullest potential. And so let's go ahead and start off with that question. What does it mean to maximize the value of life? And I am actually going to popcorn that question over to our beautiful Lotus Chat lady, Laura, to start us off today.
Thank you, Jen. Well, for me, maximizing the value of my life means I'm living life as I dream it to be, as I've envisioned it to be, and to feel that I have a well-balanced life where things are flowing to me that I want. There was a time in my life where I was so unhappy, I decided I was going to buy a pup tent and leave everything behind and go camp on the beach. And for those of you that know me, know that that isn't really me, but my life was out of balance. I wasn't happy. And so for me, escapism was the way to go. When I maximized and was living my life in a valuable way, I didn't want to run away. I wanted to live it. I want to be there. I want to experience it. And all the good things that I've wanted for myself are flowing and coming to me. So I had a real shift, and that's what maximizing the value of my life means. Thank you, Jen. I'm going to ask Zian if she'll answer that question.
Yes, to me, maximizing the value of life is being so excited to jump out of bed every morning. And I think maximizing value of life also means doing something that we truly want in our life and being really authentic to ourselves. And what does authenticity means to me is it's something that you know at your gut level. It's really being true to who you are, and you are the only person who will know that. And maximizing that value of life, when you really truly do it, it's happiness inside out. That to me is maximizing value of life. What about you, Matilda?
That's a good question, Zia. Maximizing the value of life for me means taking pause to acknowledge my value as a living being, and to acknowledge and accept what I really, what I really want from myself, separate and apart from what anybody else wants, what anybody else thinks I should be doing, should be pursuing. It's just about me. And that's not selfishness, it's empowerment. It's stepping into a state that says, it's okay for me to do exactly what I want, when I want, for whatever reason I want, and and I don't have to justify it. And I don't have to explain it. And it doesn't have to be accepted by anybody else. It's what I want for me. That's what maximizing my life means for me. Okay, Jasmine.
That's beautiful, ladies. Maximizing the value of life to me it's freedom. It's creating freedom in all aspects. It's being connection to self, source, and others. It's being love. It's creating happiness, experiencing joy, and dream building, living your vision, impacting yourself, your family, and your community by leading a purpose-driven life with clarity. It's being an avid learner. It's really just going anywhere and everywhere to live your fullest potential and viewing life through the eyes of abundance and creating that, whatever that looks like, as a visionary, as a powerful creator, and being the creative human, because this life is like our canvas, and we are all artists of life. So that's what I feel maximizing the value of life is putting our own subjective view on what that is, as simple or as intrinsic or as beautiful as we want it to be.
So really great question came up as everybody shared all their ways that are what maximizing the value of life means to them. I was thinking about how I maximize the value of life, and there was a lot that came up for me, but first and foremost, the way I see maximizing the value of life is being there for those that we love, but also taking time for yourself. And if there's anything that I have experienced recently, it's that life is precious. The moments that we have with others and with ourselves are very important. And taking that time to make time for those that we love and to make time for ourselves is how you can really not only maximize your life, but also live a healthy life. And in those moments when things do get hard and you feel like you need to step away and take a breather, take that breather. If things are feeling a little overwhelming and emotional, take that moment for yourself. Or if somebody else that you know is needing that helping hand or that support, be there in whatever capacity it is that they need, that they would like you to be there, be there. In those ways, I feel that you can maximize your life because you're creating valuable moments. And that is ultimately what you want to do when you're here on this earth, is create those very valuable, enriching moments, whether it's with yourself or with other people. And that is how I see maximizing the value of life. And a question that did come up for me was, how do we create valuable moments? And do we focus on things we're passionate about? What happens when we lose focus and we may sometimes focus a lot on ourselves and then forget everything around us? How do we balance those two things when you maximize your life?
I'd like to tap in.
Yeah.
So with everything going on, I feel like the first place that I like to tell my clients to go is, what are your intentions? What are your goals? What are areas of your life that you would like to improve? And we start with first their state, their mental state. Where is that at? Because you can't handle all the external until you really know the baseline of where your mental capacity is. So if you're someone who's overloading yourself with stress and anxiety, let's go there first. Let's write down where we're at and where we want to go. Become clear with that. And what are we creating? So it's a very step-by-step way to figure out where is the trajectory and the path of least resistance, and what are some baby steps that make it simple and not overwhelming. Zian, I know you wanted to add. I'm sorry.
No worries. I wanted to build on what Jen was mentioning. What I hear a lot is about connection with people, that her definition of meaningful life is connection. And I definitely can relate to that. And I want to also put it in that how we can maximize the value of life is to really understand the priorities. Sometimes we are so overwhelmed with all the things at work and the daily monotonous, things that we go through every single day, that we kind of lose sight of what truly matters. And at the end of the day, if it's relationships, if it's connection with the people that you love, that truly matters, then put that as a priority. And for me, I used to be at a point where I know my relationship with my mom is really important for me, but it always seems to be the last. I always do everything first, and then, oh, I'm free on Friday. Let's do something on Friday. But now as I get older and I'm more mature, hopefully, and then I do it the other way around. So I schedule the time with her first, and then everything else will come along. It's not always the case every single week, but that's how my ideal week looks like. Yeah. And also writing on to what Jazzy said, it's true when you are faced with someone who's kind of stuck and, kind of fuzzy on what really is the value of life. To me, I'm a huge believer of a dream board. I really believe that when we are able to see something and visualize where we want to go, and then we will be heading towards that direction, because what we do day to day, moment to moment, is those small decisions that we make that really kind of shape the big directions of our life. It's not what we do once a year, but it's what we do every single day. So to me, I always start with that point. Yeah. But what about you, Laura? You seem like you have something to say.
I am. I want to add on to that wisdom you just shared with us that I've been practicing. For me, my value of life skyrocketed when I started living in the present. I was a big fan, used to be, of planning for the future. Everything was about the end result. And I think that we all go through that probably, especially when we start our careers, but it was about achieving money. It was about achieving success. It was the big house. It was all of the things that I thought I needed. And it was even about raising my son, getting him to the best school, all of that. Mm-hmm. But what I realized was I was missing out on the everyday things, on the wonderful things. So I've got something to tell you. So my son turned 26 this weekend, and I took the day off yesterday, and I took him and his partner in my SUV up to Lake Tahoe. And we spent the day, and we just enjoyed each other all day. We walked around the lake. We walked around the town. We had a wonderful dinner on the lake. And there was nothing about getting home or what's next or what. It was just being and being present and just loving each other and having a good time. And I tell you, that was one of my best memories. And for me, the value of our life is enjoying the ones we love and enjoying ourselves minute by minute. Because Zian said it, it's the small minutes that make up the rest of your life. And so I would just encourage our listeners to consider, are you living in the moment or are you living in the future?
Laura?
Yes, Jen.
Yes, Laura, thank you for saying that, because that brings up a book of the book that right now I'm really, really into is Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. Yeah. I mean, that book has really been transformational for me. And one of the quotes I remember he said was, realize that the present moment is all you have. Make now the primary focus of your life. And especially with everything that I've personally gone through the last couple of weeks, it's hard sometimes to worry about what's going to happen an hour from now or even 5 minutes from now. But if you live in the moment, then and you pray and you just stay in that moment, then it's almost like what we discussed about surrendering. And to any of our viewers who are watching now, we did an episode where we do discuss the power of surrendering to the moment. Yes. And that is also a big part of maximizing your life. You can't really control every minute. You can't really control an outcome. You can try, and mind you, I have tried, but it's definitely, it's more of a push, and it's like a pulling, and you're pulling and you're pulling, and you feel like there's like something heavy and you can't really pull it. So if you just let go of the rope, and just trust, that is a huge part of that book, is trusting and living in the present.
I want to add on to what you just said. That was powerful, Jen. We forget that energy meets energy. And if we're pushing for an outcome, we're getting resistance from the energy. And then we wonder why it doesn't work out the way we want. And I know it's counterintuitive, but we really need to let it flow and surrender so that it can come to us, because that energy, when it's doing this, it's very hard to live the life and have the value that you want, because you're always fighting it. Powerful. Thank you, Jen.
There's a saying that's if you are feeling anxiety or anxiousness, then you are living in the future. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. And that must mean that you are not appreciating the gift of the present.
Oh, I love that.
Oh,
Beautiful.
beautiful. I think a hard part for many people in resistance is there's a resistance to change, because our lives we become so comfortable with where we are that the thoughts of making changes and stepping beyond that usual chaos that we encounter on a day-to-day basis because of our life being out of balance, it scares the bejeebers out of us. And so one first step to maximizing your life, living that kind of life, is to be open to change, realizing that when you identify this is an area that is not, what's that? You hear it all the time, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And that's true because we're resistant to change. You can identify that there's a problem, but you continue to do the same thing, waiting for that problem to be different or to change or to solve itself when you haven't done anything different from what you were doing before. So being able to step into a newness of life.
Yes. Oh, wow.
It's a great way to look at, hey, and every day living in the moment, every day provides us with an opportunity to start over, to do something different, to be different, to walk the way we want to walk, to dress the way we want to dress, to connect with someone that we really want to connect with. There's always opportunity available. We just have to be willing to step into the change that's necessary to have that.
And by when?
Do it now. What the hell are you waiting on? By when?
Complacency is a dream killer, and so is your
Yeah.
comfort zone. Your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. So imagine what's outside of that. You can continue expanding your consciousness in whatever realms you want to experience that joy, that, the things that you want to do instead of playing small, which I know I've experienced that, ladies. I'm sure we've been somewhere around that, playing small, hiding, really not playing full out, and allow yourself to be stretched, because that's where all the magic happens, is in the stretch. And afterwards, you'll be proud that you did it,
I know some people listening might say that they feel like they don't have the capacity to do that.
Now with that attitude,
because of their life circumstances or their present situation, they can't see how it's possible for them. And that's the first step. Well, maybe for me, the second step, being willing to change, but seeing that it doesn't have to be the way that it is. And recognizing that you're in control. You're in control of you. And even if you're in a bad relationship, you're in control of you. You don't have to be there. You're in control of you. Listen, I can hear somebody saying, but you don't understand. I can't do this. I can't do that. Yes, you can. Been there, done that. It's possible. And if I can do it, you can too.
Matilda, that was powerful. And one of the things that I think I had to learn, but our listeners may be feeling that way too, is being honest with yourself and reflecting on yourself. I call it self-reflection. One of the challenges is it's very easy to look outward at other people. If only, if they were, why can't they learn lessons? Why did they do that to me? And I think that when we can shift and look at ourselves, and not with blame and shame, but to be honestly reflective and say, what is it in me that I can change, improve, or work on so that I become clearer and I become more focused, and I become the person that I want to be through not being fearful, but because of love and because of no fear. And I think that's probably the biggest resistance I see people have, is to not focus outside on others for blame, but looking inside and saying, how can I shift so that my life can grow and can move forward?
Self-reflection can be painful.
Oh, yes.
It can be when you're brutally honest with yourself. It can hurt, because you look at decisions you made that might not have been the wisest decision, or whatever. It just can be painful, but that's okay. It's okay. Yeah. When your bones grow, you heard about children they get to a certain point in growth and they have growing pains because their bones grow at a faster rate than what their body has the capacity for. And so, yeah, growth hurts. It can hurt. Self-reflection can hurt. Change can hurt. But, stay where you are and you're nothing better.
We tend to have defense mechanisms as human beings, and we protect ourselves, and we don't realize how many guards and walls we build up. And I think that's another hindrance to self-reflection, because there's this protection. If we can just work through that and say, it's okay, it's okay. I think that's the key. But we all have been there. We know what those walls feel like, but it's having the courage to take them down and be vulnerable.
And the invitation is to shift to neutral when you're at those points of discomfort. Yes. Ladies, what's your take on neutrality in creating from the neutral point?
Neutrality has always been a challenge for me, because I have a tendency to see life in black and white. I don't have a gray. I function with, it's either this way or it's going to be that way. So it takes a little effort. It takes a little, for me to get into a neutral place where my mind is quieted, so that I cannot be so outward focused that all of it becomes chaos, and I can look for the answers inwardly. That's how I find that neutral place, because we have that capacity within us. It's within us. The answers are in there. So through being quiet, being still, and listening inwardly, that puts me in a place of neutrality. And I make so many wise decisions when I do that. How about somebody else?
I totally agree with that. And I think neutrality is also being able to see life, whatever that's happening, as an experience. Not good, not bad, but it's just an experience. And if you are able to take ourselves out of that and look from it from a helicopter point of view, and really just seeing, oh, I'm experiencing this right now. Interesting. And if you could see that from that point of view, with a little bit of, candid laughter, that would just totally make life more interesting. I also like what Matilda mentioned just now about newness, seeing life as newness. I think a lot of this reminds me of a quote that I've read recently from this autobiography of a yogi by Yogananda Paramahansa. And he mentioned this, that we all tend to choose the familiar sufferings that we go through rather than the unfamiliar joy. And that really resonates with me, because we always repeat the same thing and we're suffering, but because it's so familiar to us, we refuse to let it go. But if you do not step out, and I'm talking not huge steps, I'm talking small steps first, we will not be able to experience that unfamiliar joy because we've not tasted it yet. So I also want to encourage, listeners out there who's listening to this right now, if you are thinking of switching or doing something different, I want to encourage you to do a small step and not something huge first. So it's not too scary for you. And it could be as simple as take a day off and update your LinkedIn, for example.
Neutrality is a real foreign concept to many of us, because we learned early on to react and to protect. And if you live in fear, neutrality is scary. But once you overcome the resistance and you really look at things and say, I loved what Zian said. It's an experience. I love that. And you don't take it personally. I think of the times when I reacted, I wish that I hadn't. And what might have happened had I not reacted, where I would have just said, interesting, and not taken it personally. So neutrality is actually an amazing thing, and it opens doors for new possibilities. It's getting myself or my ego out of the way so that I can experience something new. And I love what you said, Zian. It's the missed joys that you're missing out because you do the same thing because it's familiar. And familiar isn't always the most joyful.
Yeah. And I think when we are always open to the mysteries of life, one of the things that I always encourage myself to do, which is pretty scary for a controller analyzer, is I jump into something without quite knowing the full details. Like, I don't really know what's happening. I don't really know 100%. I'll just jump into it, because then we are really open to what's going to happen. And seriously, sometimes we don't really need to know the full details, because when you do, it's probably too scary to take that step.
Yeah, many of us would not move forward if we knew all the details. Life unfolds one detail at a time. And that's what brings the joy, because there's always a space for discovery. There's always an opportunity for something new. And you can move in and out of that. And it's like a child running on a beach that discovers a starfish or a seashell that has a different color or different shape. And you just keep running and you keep discovering. And that's what life is like, or it should be.
So the invitation is to anyone who's listening or watching, like, what are some ways that you can be a possibilitarian? What are some ways that you can examine what the infinite possibilities of what you can create? And when I say this, I mean to start with an inquiry, just a general inquiry for where you want to begin. And what are some of the action steps that you can take? What are some ways to be resourceful? And lean into discovering new things about yourself and new things about what you can do to start building the life of your dreams and maximizing the value of your life. Because who knows, like, you could be right here and it could be so much more. And you could have experienced a lot more joy, and you just don't know what you don't know until you find other people that do. Because this life will teach you, shape you, mold you. And a lot of things also in the realm of your discomfort zone will allow you to achieve those successes. So you're either choosing, suffering or success, or you're somewhere right in the limbo and you're doing that insane limbo in life. So where are you on the spectrum?
That's beautiful.
Well, I want to kind of close this out with a challenge to our listeners. I think each one of us here that you see on Lotus Chat, our goal in life is to help and support others to live their highest valued life. And each of us have a work that we do where we actually support, encourage, and coach others to live their highest life. You'll notice in our name tags, you'll see either our handle for Instagram or website. Please look at that and reach out to one of us, because we do that kind of work and it means so much to me and to all of us. I don't really like to call it work because it doesn't feel like work. We're all passionate about what we do. We want to give to others in the way others have given to us. I shared last week that I have a life coach and she's my mentor. And I learn from her while others are learning from me. And so please, if your life is either out of balance or you're not living the maximum life that you want to live, reach out to one of us. We would love to talk to you and we would love to share with you and support you in making some shifts in your life. So please do that. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. If you are listening to us on Spotify, please follow us. That would be important. And for this evening, I just want to say thank you to all of you for listening. I want to thank everyone in Lotus Chat. Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell you we have an email address. lotuschatworldwide@gmail.com. So please give us feedback. If there's a topic that you would like to hear about, we would love to share that with you. But hopefully we're going to hear from each of our listeners this week who just want to reach out and connect. We would love to have that. And I can't tell you what next week is going to be about because it's going to be a surprise. So you're just going to have to tune in next week and hear what it's about. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.